So I remember everything about that night up until buying a drink at the bar. I bought 3 drinks and I passed 2 back to my mates. In the second that I turned my back, I believe that's when my drink was spiked, because after that point, I remember nothing until waking up in my bed the next day.
This is Maya Howells, and in early 2020, her drink was spiked.
I think when I woke up, I was just panicked. I realised I had multiple physical injuries. My nose was really swollen. My wrist really, really hurt. I went to A&E to go and get my physical injuries treated. The nurse actually told me that she'd been spiked herself and her injuries were really, really similar. And it wasn't my first experience of spiking, because a few months before, my sister had also been spiked.
In late 2021, reports of drink spiking across the UK increased dramatically. There were also reports of a new form of spiking.
Needle spiking incidents first started to emerge in the autumn of 2021.
Dean Ames is a forensic consultant working with the Metropolitan Police.
Needle spiking is very much a new form of drug spiking. You're having to inject a drug into somebody.
Across the UK, people were having drugs slipped into their drinks or even injected into them without ever seeing who did it. Spiking is the act of giving someone drugs or alcohol without their consent. Currently, there is no criminal offence specific to spiking. Perpetrators of spiking can be charged under other crimes, but this inconsistent approach makes it very difficult to get a clear picture of the prevalence of spiking using police data. It's not something new. Drink spiking has been around for many years. One anonymous victim we heard from claimed that they had been spiked almost 40 years ago.
Spiking as a phenomenon has been prevalent through much of my career. It probably became more apparent perhaps 15, 20 years ago.
Spiking incidents mainly occur in the nighttime economy. Police data shows that 93% of spiking incidents where a location was recorded take place in the nighttime economy, mostly in pubs and clubs. Our own research supports this, with over 3,000 people having witnessed or been a victim of spiking in a nightclub. Spiking's impact on victims can be life-changing.
The next couple of weeks after I got spiked, that was when it was really, really hard. And I think it's something that people don't really realise is the mental strain. You know, I was waking up every day and I was recovering from these physical injuries. And I just think I was filled with a lot of anger and upset that nothing was being done about it. And the person that did it to me kind of just got away with it and they were just able to live their life.
In Avon and Somerset between 2016 and 2021, there were 486 reports of spiking. 27 arrests were made, but no cases ever made it to court. From our research, it's clear that reports of spiking rarely lead to convictions.
It's not an easy investigation by policing. It's very much dependent on what CCTV can record and any witnesses that have witnessed that action.
Spiking cases can be reliant on CCTV in nighttime venues. This reliance is due to the fact that spiking is hugely underreported.
It didn't really occur to me that I'd had my drink spiked until I finally saw a nurse and she told me that that's what she thinks has happened to me and it was too late to run any tests. I felt really, really lost and alone, as you would, because it kind of just felt like nothing was going to be done about it.
Many victims feel that by the time they realise they had been spiked, they're too late to report it to the police.
The best time window to take a urine sample is within 12 hours. That will offer the best opportunity to detect virtually any drug that may have been administered. The next suitable window is within 24 hours of a drug being administered. That will give a very high confidence of detecting most of the drugs that could have been used. Once we go beyond 1 to 3 days, many drugs could still be detected, but not all. And then once we go on to about 4 to 7 days, we're unlikely to detect virtually all drugs, but there are some which can still be detected.
Unfortunately, urine testing alone isn't enough to build a strong spiking case. The sooner the incident is reported, the more likely it is that police will be able to gather evidence at the scene.
I think the key problems with reporting spiking are that no one really knows where to turn to. There's not really a set space to report that you've been spiked. But also I think there's a lack of trust in the police force themselves. A lot of people don't want to put themselves through the process of reporting because it's already been traumatic enough as it is. And I speak to a lot of victims who just don't think they're going to be believed, and that's why they don't report it.
A recent poll by The Independent found that 4 in 10 women don't think the police will take them seriously. Our own survey had over 1,100 victims that did not report because they didn't think the police would do anything. In the same survey, over 800 people said they did not know who to report it to.
You'd think to go to the police, but they kind of then send you to a hospital, then the hospital send you back to the police, and it feels like no one's really been taking responsibility for the crime itself. There aren't any independent charities or community work surrounding spiking. Well, they weren't when I got spiked, and I suppose that's kind of why I started I've Been Spiked as a space for people to do that.
As a result of her experience, Maya started her own organisation as a place for spiking victims to be heard. Clearly, there needs to be more awareness around spiking for the public, nighttime staff, and even frontline workers.
I think the most important thing that needs to change now in terms of the state of spiking in the UK is that victims are listened to and believed, and we offer a space for victims to get support, and that we actually tackle this crime seriously and treat it as the serious offence that it is.
At the Home Affairs Committee, we have been running an inquiry into spiking. The report for this inquiry has been published and contains an in-depth look into spiking in the UK and what we believe needs to be done to combat it. For a more in-depth look at our research, you can look at our report summary, available here. Or, if you'd like to read the full report, you can at committees.parliament.uk. We're keen to hear the government's response to our report, which, as a House of Commons committee, they are required to provide.